You are welcome back to Enhance Your English Lesson with Sandy, and we are still continuing with our rules on the subject-verb agreement. And today we are going on to the rules 6 and 7 of the subject-verb agreement. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our page for more lessons, and then also click on the like button and the notification button for alert on the lessons which I bring to you. So let's quickly move on to rule 6 of the subject-verb agreement, and then to find out what this rule also is. And the rule says the following indefinite pronouns. Right, I've already given you indefinite pronouns in our previous study on determiners and then head nouns, where I introduced you to some indefinite pronouns. So the following indefinite pronouns usually take singular verbs, and these are some of the indefinite pronouns: anyone, anybody, each, either, everybody, neither, no one, nobody, and so on, are all considered as indefinite pronouns. Several and all that are all considered as indefinite pronouns. Why do we say indefinite? Indefinite means not being specific. You are not being specific, right? That is why we say indefinite. It is without end, indefinite pronoun. So anyone, anybody, and all that. And we have some examples here because we said that they usually take singular verbs. And some examples here. And nobody wants to eat the food. So nobody is indefinite pronoun and it must take a singular verb. Nobody is indefinite pronoun, it must take a singular verb. Nobody wants to eat the food. Nobody wants to eat the food. And then we also have each has. Each has his own bed. Each too is indefinite pronoun, and therefore it must also take a singular verb. Somebody has been stealing from my bag. Somebody too is indefinite, and as we've said, they all take singular verbs. And that is why we have all these singular verbs here. All these singular verbs. The ones, right, has, and then another has. They all take singular verbs, and it is something that we should take notice of. It is very important. So this is about the indefinite pronouns taking singular verbs. So that is it. So let's go to the rule 7 and the subject-verb agreement to find out what it also says. The rule 7 says the pronoun any or none takes either or either the singular or the plural verbs. The pronoun any or none takes either the singular or plural verbs. So that is also quite interesting to know, right? Any or none take either singular or plural verbs. It seems that a majority of people are familiar with these things, taking singular verbs, and that is why it is so important that we introduce you to the other side of it, which we believe that the plural verb is also admissible for this particular pronouns. So we have examples like none is my friend. None is my friend. So none here, being a pronoun, has taken a singular verb, which is correct, accepted, right? And the second one is none are my friends. None are my friends. So what is the difference between this none is my friend and none are my friends? If you say none is my friend, then it means that you are referring to the individual elements in the group you are talking about. None is my friend. The individual elements or the individual people or persons in the group you are referring to. So none, nobody, not even a single person is your friend. But if you say none are my friends, then we are referring to the collective group, right? Or the collective. None are my friends, the group. All of them are not your friends. So that is it. None are my friends. And that is why we use for it. And then when you come here to, we have are any ready are any ready, and then we also have is any ready. So we have are any ready, is any ready, right? And they are all allowed. Are any ready? Then it means whatever you may be referring to, you mean that do you have some of them ready, right? More than one ready. And then if you say is any ready, then it means it's one even ready for you to choose, and then that is it. So these are the rules for today, rule 6 and then 7. And then you can see that these rules are so interesting to know, and then the verbs they take, right? So as we progress, we shall know more. But for these rules are so important that we study them and know them very well, especially under subject-verb agreement. If we really want to have command of the language, then it is so important that we take these rules religiously, we imbibe the rules, we practice them, we use them as and when necessary. Don't feel shy to express yourself wherever you find yourself, because language is learned as we speak. The more you speak, the more you express yourself, and then you are corrected, the better you become. So don't feel shy, keep learning, keep expressing yourself. But don't forget to subscribe to our page. So let's go on to rule 8, 9, and 10. We are dealing with these 3 rules together for today. You are welcome to enhance your English lesson with Sir Andy. And this is the last section we are going to take on the rules of the subject-verb agreement. And we have 3 rules here. But before we go on to that, I would entreat you, if you have not subscribed to our page, to do so now, and then like our lesson, and then also click on the notification button for more lessons, because we have so many lessons to bring to you. So let's move on quickly to our rules for today, and then we have rule 8, 9, and then 10 will come up later on. And then rule 8 also says a verb in a relative clause agrees with the antecedent of the relative pronoun. The antecedent may be a big word here. Antecedent is also known as the subject. Antecedent is also known as the subject. So a relative, a verb in a relative clause, right? A verb in a relative clause. And when it's about relative clauses are subordinate clauses, right? Which are preceded by relative pronouns, and then they serve as post modifiers to their antecedents, or they function as post modifiers. Post means coming after. So a verb in the relative clause says must agree with the antecedent of the relative pronoun. Antecedent of the relative pronoun. And we are going to look at all these terminologies and what they mean. So one of the boys, these are examples, one of the boys, right? So the boys here is what we call the antecedent. The boys here is what we call the antecedent, the subject. And then the who here is the relative pronoun. Who play football is a relative clause. I don't know whether I have to take it slowly. The boys is what is referred to as the antecedent or the subject. The who is a relative pronoun, right? As we could see from the definition, the who is a relative pronoun. Who play football? Who play football is considered as a relative clause. So in the relative clause, who play football, we have this, a relative pronoun. And then inside the relative clause, there is a verb. And the rule says the verb in the relative clause, which is play, and then it is a plural verb, must agree with the antecedent, the boys, of the relative pronoun. Pronouns are words which are used in place of nouns. So the boys here is the noun, head noun, and then the who is standing in place of the boys. Because this whole structure is telling us what these boys do. What do? They play football, right? So the who play football is defining the boys. So who is standing in place of the boys? And we've learned that subjects, plural subjects take plural what? Verbs. So the boys here is plural, and therefore the verb must be plural. So the who is standing in place of the boys. So one of the boys who play, not who plays. One of the boys who play, because the who, being a relative pronoun, is standing in place of the boys. And the boys rather play football. Who play football for us is. So the is here is now in agreement with the one. So one of the boys who play football is sick. So the boys who play football, one of them is sick. So one of the boys, we call them one of subjects. One of subjects. So one of the boys who play, so the who is standing in place of the boys, right? And as I've already indicated, play football is sick. And now let's take the second example. The woman who, so this is the antecedent. The who is the relative pronoun. So the who is standing in place of the woman. As we've done for this, probably this were a bit, confusing. This will at least rescue from your confusion. The woman who, so the who is standing in place of the woman, is wearing a black dress is my mother. So the who is wearing a black dress is considered as a relative clause. So this is in agreement with the woman. And this is the relative pronoun, and that is it. The cat which is standing in place of the cat, right? The cat which steals fish is under the table. The cat which is standing in place of the cat steals fish, right? Which steals fish, which is standing in place, steals fish is under the table, right? So that is, you can see that this is quite, a bit simpler than this. But one of the boys, one of the girls who sing in the church has, one of the girls who sing in the church has traveled abroad. So that is it for the rule 8. And it is something we should know, especially about relative clause and then their relative pronouns and what they do. Because I've told you that relative clauses push modifiers, and it's something that you should know. Alright, so let's go to rule 9. And rule 9 says, a collective noun may either take a singular or a plural verb. A collective noun may either take a singular or a plural verb. And then we have examples. The staff is united. And we have the staff are arguing among themselves. Why do we have this? Now let me stay a bit longer on the collective nouns. When we talk about collective nouns, we are talking about nouns which are, together, right? And depending on the type of verb it may go, if the unit, the collective noun is considered as a singular unit, right, then the verb must be singular. If the collective noun is considered, the individual elements in the collective nouns are considered, then it means that that collective noun should admit a plural verb. So as we have here, the staff is united. In this case, for the staff, we are referring to the singular unit, right? The singular unit. So one unit. And that is why we've used is for it. It's united. And then the staff are arguing. This case, the staff and are, we are dealing with the individual elements in the staff. The individual elements, right? The individual teachers or personalities in the staff. And that is why we use are for it. So are arguing among themselves. And then the audience is happy with the performance. audience 1. We are dealing with a singular unit, and that is why it is it. So that is it, and we are going to the rule 10. The rule 10 as part of the rules or this section we are treating. And the rule 10, being the final rule of the subject-verb agreement, also says that plural numbers take singular verbs when they are used to indicate a sum or a unit. Plural numbers take singular verbs when they are used to indicate a sum or a unit. So let's take a few examples, and then we have 24 hours being plural nouns or numbers, right, makes a day, because this is referring to what? A singular unit. A singular unit, and therefore it must accept a singular verb. 24 hours makes a day. And then the second one is 70 years is hard to come by these days. 70 years is hard to come by these days. So these are wonderful rules about subject-verb agreement, and it's something that we must all work on. Study them, imbibe them, follow the rules we've studied so far, the videos we've really brought to you. Follow and then learn, and then you are going to gain mastery of this subject-verb agreement. You are going to have command of it, and then your expressions are going to be wow. But don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Subscribe there, click on the like button, leave your comment under the video, and then if you have any question, you can also leave it behind. We are going to address it, and then also click on the notification button for you to receive any video from us. So in our next lesson, which we shall bring to you, we are going on to nouns. Nouns, how nouns are formed and all that. Don't miss our next video. See you.